Hello, my absolutely brilliant and beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome back to the channel. We are going to explore this full moon that is coming up in Taurus, coming up November 5th. And I have to tell you, this particular moon is cool because the lunation itself is clean, right? There's no challenging aspects happening to it. There's nothing like that. It's just really clean. So being in the Venusian energy of Taurus, this one's kind of like a nice balm that is coming to plans and designs and actions that we have taken. After years of instability with Uranus shaking the ground beneath us in that Taurus energy, you know, it was asking us to reinvent ourselves, reinvent what security means to us, redefine wealth and our resources, uncover our worth, look at receptivity. These have been key themes. Now, this full moon is offering us something a little bit different. It's very steady, it's peaceful itself, and most of all, it's simple, just like Taurus is in the most sacred way. So I kind of have this vision of this being a moment where you can take an exhale after the storm and you kind of realize, okay, the world is still standing, it's still here, and so am I. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you here. If you are one of our ride or die people who've been here for a long time, thank you so much for continuing to be here with us. Now, there are going to be timestamps in the description box down below for the different sections of this video that we're going to go through so that you can take it not just from the video, but take it out of the video and back into your chart and see where the stories of the different sections are actually are playing out and unfolding in your particular chart. So make sure you check the description box down below. And if you don't have your own personal chart already, please make sure that you snatch one down below so that you can follow along with us now and as we're walking through the videos all year. Because what's really important on this channel is that I'm not just showing you how to have astrology in your life or what it is, but to actually speak the language of astrology into your life as well. Now, this lunation is about coming home. It's very Taurian, coming home to your body, your mind, your rhythm, your real values. And it also is a reminder with some of the activity around this lunation that safety doesn't come from control. It comes from connection. It's soft, but it's strong. It's Venusian, so it's reminding us that luxury isn't always about excess, right? Sometimes it's the warmth of sunlight against your skin, it's a quiet room, it's a meal that is shared and prepared in love and in comfort. So let's explore this particular full moon and see how it's trying to help you soften into some stability and to reconnect with what really matters while also celebrating what you've built. Now, to look at what you've already built, first we have to look back into this full moon's lunation story because the full moon always represents a culmination for us, right? The sun is on one side, the moon is on the other side. So there's a culmination, and it's kind of this bloom or this opening up that happens in the lunar cycle. It's when something that you started months ago has made itself visible. You have brought it to some kind of flourishing, and now it's ready to be felt, to be pivoted against, or to be released. In this particular lunation cycle, as we're looking at the full moon, first of all, we see that the sun is in Scorpio. The moon, of course, is here in Taurus. Taurus has been asking us since the beginning of this full moon story in the cycle, what do you value? And where do you find peace and safety in your material world, in something that you can touch? And Scorpio is this whisper energy of you have to transform what you can't find peace in, or you have to transform in order to be a person who can find peace in the spaces that you're at. Now, this story has been unfolding at 13 degrees and 23 minutes of your particular chart. So if you've got any planets, placements, asteroids, anything like that. Maybe you've got a midpoint or your vertex is at this degree. If it's between about 9 and 17 degrees of the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, you're going to want to go look at what's happening at that point in the chart. Now, like I was saying, this story actually started back in 2024. When we go back to May 8th of 2024, we have the new moon solar eclipse happening at 18 degrees of Taurus. So first of all, go back in your journal, your Google Calendar. What were you doing? What were you working on? What seeds of stability and value, self-worth, receiving, material reality, things in your finances, your relationships, what were you planting seeds to begin there to have something start anew? Now, as we got to February 5th of 2025, we were at the first quarter moon here in Taurus. So just earlier this year at 16 degrees of Taurus. This is where what you had planted in that new moon time, now you're taking action on it. You're building, you're adjusting, you're grounding, you're tackling the obstacles to bring those seeds into reality. Now, as we're here at this full moon at 13 degrees, this is where, first of all, you're going to celebrate the stability of what you've brought into your life, right? Maybe your money looks different. Maybe there's something in your relationships that looks different. Have you been practicing receiving and it looks different? Remember, at an evolutionary level, Taurus's job is to calm the hell down, calm down and be right with your resources. That is a Taurus evolutionary space. So where have you done that really well? Take a minute to celebrate that because the results are emerging here at this full moon time. Something has become visible. Now, there's a choice, a truth, a harvest, something that you're going to need to do to decide to keep going on this particular path, or that you've done as much as you can here and you need to pivot and continue on this same path, but in a different direction, maybe with different people at a different speed. Okay. Now we're going to bring this full story that you have been working on to a close August 6th of 2026 when we get to the last quarter moon happening at 13 degrees of Taurus. And that's when you're going to see a culmination, a full integration. You're going to turn away from what you were working on building for 27 months, what you were learning, you release it. It's really just that the story completes. So think back to spring of 2024 and what began to grow in your life, especially in those finance, confidence, relationship, personal peace areas, because the full moon is standing here now to show you where you're at in the journey of that story. Now let's take a look into more of the aspecting stories of this actual moon. Technically speaking, Taurus is, the moon is exalted in the vibration of Taurus. So this is again a signal and a symbol of comfortability, right? The moon being exalted in Taurus means that it is, in fact, not only confident and comfortable, but it's radiant. It's absolutely radiant in this position. Because the moon being over our emotions, our instincts, and those inner tides, our reactions. In Taurus, those emotions find deep, rich soil. They find texture, they find rhythm, they find a grounding in emotional reality. So imagine, that the moonlight is falling across a field. I see it, there's all golden wheat, beautiful plants. It's quiet, it's still, it's abundant, it's alive, there's liveliness here, it's sure. That's the moon in Taurus. It doesn't need to rush. It nourishes, it receives, it listens to that slower, simple pulse of life. So that's the experience as we're here with the moon exalted in Taurus. Our emotions and our emotional world are going to have the opportunity to feel more steady and less chaotic because you can hear your intuition more clearly because it's not screaming over fear. It's humming more in harmony with your body, where you've learned to receive and listen and slow and attract. So, under this full moon, this is a great place to check in. If you're going, Stormy, I don't know what I built, I don't know what I've received, nothing seems different. That's not true. It's just not true. Take a chance under this full moon to notice where you actually have a craving for simplicity. Real food, soft fabrics, meaningful conversation. You want more quiet spaces. You're moving away from chaos. Notice where your nervous system is also aligning with the wisdom of Taurus. You're slowed down a bit because you remember who you are and that you don't need to be doing the most. Right? So look at where this story is unfolding for you. Now, obviously, we see that we have got the moon in a pretty clean, like I said, cut with the sun here in Scorpio, but our luminaries are in conversation with some important points. First of all, we can see that the moon here is forming this beautiful sextile with the north node here in Pisces. And it's thus got a trine to the south node that's happening in Virgo. Now, this is brilliant because we see that the sun also gets involved in this configuration and conversation with the sun in Scorpio being in a sextile to the north node and then in a trine to that north node in Pisces, okay? But what this creates is a harmonious flow between what's really earthy, right? What's practical, Virgo, what's emotional, Pisces, what's steady, Taurus, what's transformative, Scorpio. So collectively, as you're looking at this in your life, we see where have you been in your story of moving away from perfectionism and towards having more faith. I have faith that if I'm not doing the most and I slow down, or if I practice receiving, or if I do start to understand the value of my money, I'm building my money on practices, not vibes, right? We're understood that I'm going to be okay. We're moving from I need to fix everything in my life to trusting that life is unfolding. From analyzing very Virgo, very Scorpio as well. I'm analyzing everything, every emotion to feeling them through and processing them fully in the body. Because the South Node in Virgo has asked us and taught us this year to take some of the pressure to get it right off the table. Well, that North Node in Pisces is asking us to trust. You've made a little plan, you've put in a little footwork. Now you have to let the universe do the heavy lifting and trust the unfolding of the process. And the grace of Taurus to meet the unknown while it's all unfolding. So the Taurus moon is a symbol here that we're also being grounded into faith that something tangible is going to it's going to manifest itself for us. It's not just hope, it's not just some belief, but something tangible is going to come to us. And certainly something tangible is happening to us as we're living and being embodied in that Taurian energy, right? Like peace is the new spiritual currency and resource. That's really what we see under here. Now, the ruling planet of this particular lunation is Venus, and I think it's such a heart of this story because, first of all, Venus is really comfortable at this lunation. She's in her home sign of Libra. It's dignified, it's elegant, it's attuned to fairness and to harmony, but it's not floating as gently at this lunation. There's under a little bit of a pressure here. Now, it's a loose yod or the finger of God that we've talked about several times this year, but it's pointing right at Venus as the apex planet. So we've got this chill lunation, but then some geometry is getting involved here. So on our chart, we can see that we've got Venus here in Libra acting as this apex planet. And we've got this quincunx from Uranus in Gemini, and then the quincunx as well from the Saturn, Neptune, who are both retrograde here in Pisces, which means that when we look at that, first of all, the quincunx, they don't know, Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune are trying to say something to Venus, and Venus is like, yes, I hear you, but I don't understand how you would like me to work that out. So Venus is carrying the weight here of doing the healing, doing the realignment, doing the attracting, but with a little bit of unclear instruction, right? So here we see that there is some added mental and relational uncomfortability and unpredictability here. So the symbol that I get here, first of all, is that something in our relationships is it can surprise us, right? It could surprise us, and it could be a surprise and delight, or it could just be a surprise, or it's something that's kind of uncomfortable. Maybe a truth is pouring out before we are ready, but there's something awkward that is happening here, but it's necessary for us to experience and not try to change what's uncomfortable and being shown here. It's just to be in the honesty. Now, the quincunx side that has got Saturn and Neptune going here is asking for boundaries. Boundaries given in a compassionate way, right? Like we can love deeply, we can deeply pray for other people, but we need to do it clearly and with discernment as well. And we don't want to be confusing empathy with like erasing ourselves. So together, as we see in conversation, this yod is pushing the Venusian portion of our chart for all of us towards a really mature love, right? It's not fantasy, it's not control, but it's the balance here kind of between grace and truth. So, what this can feel like is, again, there's a relational tension that's happening here, but I do want to say again, I think it's a sacred tension. We have to be uncomfortable in it a little bit in order to be motivated to change, because it's the kind of uncomfortable that grows intimacy instead of ending it, right? Like here, Venus is like, you've done so well. You have built something, you have simplified your life, and in the simplicity of this Taurus lunation, you are going to find the truth and let that love refine you. Now, we also see here that we've got Venus still going. Venus is still going, y'all. Venus is in opposition to Chiron, who's retrograde here in Aries. So there is again this sense to me between the yod, between the refinement that's trying to happen in this kind of uncomfortable relational tension, that there is a wound that's maybe being exposed here around independence and intimacy. It's like a fear of needing someone or a fear of being needed, right? This aspect is inviting us to find the strength in the vulnerability, to receive without an apology, to give, but to only give in spaces that are cyclical as well. Like it's giving, it's reciprocal. We're giving, we're both sharing, right? But what a powerful weight for Venus to be lifting at this lunation. And what does this bring up for you as you're thinking about it? You know, is there still a struggle in being needed, in needing someone, in surrendering, in receiving and relaxing? Are you still struggling in your money, or are you here at a place of celebration around it? Now, we are still at this lunation under a beautiful emotional wisdom that we can see here as well with this grand water trine. The sun's in Scorpio here. As we can see, it's flowing really nicely to this Saturn, to this Neptune, who are again retrograde, over to Jupiter, who's in Cancer. So this forms our grand water trine, and this is emotional fluency. It says, you know what you feel, and you're strong enough to handle it. You're emotionally intelligent. So this to me looks like an invitation to create beauty from your healing, from understanding your emotions, create depth here, to create trust, to offer forgiveness. You know, the trine really opens psychic and creative channels as well. So maybe you're healing or you're understanding your emotions through art, through music, through deep conversations. They all become portals under this lunation to help you understand this more deeply. I think that we've been doing emotional heavy lifting this year. We have been shaken, not stirred this year, right? So now it's kind of a breath of relief. You know, you've earned the softness of coming this far on your journey. And Taurus is simply going to be offering that to you. And this emotional grand trine is also telling you, you've got it. You do know how to do this. Now, from an evolutionary and a humanistic perspective, when I look at this moon, which is how I practice, I think that the totality of this full moon is telling us that we have to still release. right? We have to release, or we have to look at least our attachment with control. Because Taurus can cling because it fears losing something. But Scorpio will transform it as soon as you let it go, and it transforms it into trust, and it's an empowering kind of trust. So, as we see the sun and the moon in this conversation, they're teaching us that yes, stability is internal, but it comes from not needing to always be in control. So, in a humanistic way, what do we do with that? That sounds great, but what the hell do we do with that? First of all, it's embodiment. It is embodiment of honesty of who and what we really are in the truest sense. Feel your feet on the ground. Taste your food slowly. Choose warmth over speed. Choose body over mind as you're listening and you're working things through. Common questions to ask under a Tauran energy is, where am I confusing busyness for actual steady stability? Or how can I simplify my life to make room for something beautiful, right? That would mean I have to surrender control. I can't be doing everything all the time. I get to say, nope, the universe is unfolding as it should be, and I'm allowed to sit down and have my rosewater cake and enjoy my life. And also, am I willing to receive peace without believing that I have to do the most to earn it? So lots going on. I mean, there's literally piece after piece we could pull apart at this lunation. We could be here for 6 hours. One more point I do want to just look at here is, because we're talking so much about relational things, that we should probably just talk quickly about what Mercury's doing, right? Because then we will have talked about all of the personal planets which direct us really in impactful ways. We feel them quickly. But Mercury is traveling here relatively close to Mars. They've got a 5-degree separation. You guys know I'm an orb snob, so it's starting to get a little bit further than I care for. But Mercury and Mars here together, they are in fire. So, first of all, this could be, remember I said in that quincunx of Uranian energy coming in, like there is something unexpected in the air. You get information, and again, that information is driving towards vulnerability. Open up, trust, receive, need, be needed, all of these things, but you're getting a piece of information, and the information is very Sagittarian. It's this big, right? I caught a fish that was this big, right? You know how that goes. Or if you're watching anything on the news, the internet, these kinds of things, you have to think about, is it really that big? Is it really that fiery? Is that really the truth of what's being said? Or is there a lot of storytelling, very Sagittarius, that's going on? And this needs to come back to scale, because I do think, you know, when we're coming down to what is the honest truth, if you pause and you let whatever big news is happening around you settle for a minute, you're going to see that it's not as big or as bold or as loud or as bad as maybe it was originally presented. The fish you caught was actually this big. It was not this big. It was just a fish that was this big. And this is much more manageable to deal with, to handle, and to learn from. Let's take a minute, and I don't do it often, but let's take a minute, and I'm going to go through what this lunation has in store for each of the houses in your chart. So make sure you know what house this lunation, 13 degrees, is for you in your natal chart. So starting with your first house, you've got main character energy right now. Visibility, recognition, and some kind of completion are yours, because something about yourself, your self-image, it's really coming full circle at this time. And there's something that feels a bit more steady, but you may also be looking at, wow, this is really the truth of who I am. In your second house, you might be releasing something behind the scenes that actually has to do with a pattern of fear or scarcity around money. So there could be a quiet ending that is happening and that is pouring out for you, but it will bring a pretty powerful piece. In your third house, when it comes to When it comes to all things having to do with communication, conversations, ideas come full circle. You're speaking your truth, but you're more calm about it. You're able to listen more easily to hear the response. What you're saying maybe lands better with people than you expected. And your fourth house, home, family, real estate, property, your roots, your parents, these are all the focus now. So for some of you, it could be very practical. You're moving or there's moving things in your living situation. Some of you, thank God, are going to finish those renovations. I'm really excited for you. Or maybe there's just more emotional grounding that's actually coming into your space. Into the fifth house, love, joy, pleasure, play, things having to do with children is really blooming at this time. So maybe you start or you share some kind of project, or you're just in the project of reconnecting with pleasure or opening your heart, opening that play again. And these could all be themes that are true for your children as well. In your sixth house, daily routines, health, wellness, mental health, and wellness, there's that rhythm to the day that I think starts to find more stability and more balance now, or you're aware that it's found more stability and balance. If not, use this as a time to go ahead and refine your routine, especially if it drains you. Remember, there may be something that you're really committed to doing or having in a daily routine, and the universe is showing you now that's not actually bringing you peace anymore. In your seventh house, partnerships, conscious chosen one-on-one relationships. So partnerships and commitments are clarifying here, but this is definitely a mirror moment, right? What you see in others is absolutely a reflection of yourself or a reflection that you are at your next evolution. And how cool is that? When we get to your eighth house, intimacy and assets, so finances, intimacy, death, debt, taxes, shared power, power and control, they're all illuminated under this lunation. It's time to heal how you merge emotionally, energetically, materially, physically. And also for some of you, I think that this is going to be a good time where maybe something in your health, your system, your cycle, your hormones starts to regulate and steady out as well. In your ninth house of publishing, marketing, broadcasting, beliefs, foreign travel, legal things, certainly, there is a belief or a project or some kind of study, maybe even higher education that's coming to culmination. So you've learned something, or you're taking on something that's going to reshape your worldview completely. When we get to your 10th house, we've got the tip top of the chart, the career, your reputation, or whatever we call you in person. That is reaching some kind of turning point. Maybe something you've already built, it's ready for the world now. It has value. It's making money. It's attracting the right kind of people to you. The way that you are known in public is actually starting. People are receiving that. They're a lot more attracted to it. And you have a lot of pride in whatever you're presenting publicly. In your 11th house, we've got community, friendships, social things, social media, long range goals and designs for yourself. Any one of these areas is reaching a fruition as well. So celebrate your tribe, celebrate your people, celebrate how your social sphere is changing shape and how you're able to be in a place that is steady and valuable enough to you to stick around. Or maybe for some of you, you found out I don't value this anymore and I'm leaving. And in your 12th house, this is a releasing. We're releasing something behind the scenes, a pattern, a fear, self-sabotage, whatever it is, we're bringing an ending to it quietly. It's needed it. There's more peace and power. You're going to find yourself, now listen, this is a Venusian happening in your 12th house space. So sometimes it is an affair or it is an addiction that we're having an acknowledgement that it's time to let it go because it's not actually bringing peace. Okay, my beautiful friends, this full moon is this nice exhale after a long climb. It's that quiet moment where you look around, you realize what's simple, what's sacred, and it invites you to softness, to remember that surrendering brings strength, to hold your peace like it is holy, like it is sacred, because it is. So I invite us all under this particular full moon. Let's take a deep breath. Let's touch something real and tangible. Your earth, your skin, your heart, your hair. When's the last time you've actually caressed yourself? And whisper to yourself in Taurus vibration, I am safe, I am home, I am enough, and I can receive. All right, beautiful friends, if you want to continue to deepen your relationship with Taurus, I would love to invite you into the Venus Reset program. It's 22 brilliant days where you tap into the Venus in your body, Venus in your chart, and reconnect with receiving and with peace in your own body. So if you're ready for that, click in the description box down below. Keep studying, keep bringing astrology into your world so that every time you have an experience, you can speak it fluently to the rest of us here in our community. All right, beautiful friends, 2 videos will pop up at the end, and I'll see you in the next part of your astro journey. Bye.